Welcome to the Time Management Podcast with me, your host, Abigail Barnes. I'm a productivity coach, global speaker, time management author, and award-winning entrepreneur on a mission to share the 888 formula with the world and to remind you that it's your time. Leave it to me to bring you new time management tips, tricks, tools, and strategies, to introduce you to guests, research, and case studies from around the world, and to give you a simple 5-step process you can follow to uplevel your productivity, achieve your goals, and create a life that exceeds your wildest dreams. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Welcome to the show. It's you and me for a conversation about, is imposter syndrome a trauma response? What if the reason you feel like an imposter isn't because you are one? And what if the thing you've been asked to do is triggering an underlying factor? What if that trigger was so automatic you didn't even notice it happening until once again the feeling stopped you in your tracks? What if you could actually eliminate that underlying factor and change your reaction, aka stop feeling like an imposter and step into your greatness? This week on the Time Management Podcast, I'll be sharing 3 simple ways that you can say goodbye to imposter syndrome once and for all. This episode is for you if you're struggling with imposter syndrome. This episode is also for you if you're actively avoiding being asked to do things. And it's definitely for you if you're ready to step into your greatness and stop playing small. Let's start here. What is imposter syndrome? The Oxford Languages says that it is the persistent inability to believe that one's success is deserved or has been legitimately achieved as a result of one's own efforts or skills. In episode 25 of the podcast, we talked about imposter syndrome, the big secret that nobody is telling you. I shared the 5 imposter types that Dr. Valerie Young outlines: the perfectionist, the superhero, the expert, the natural genius, and the soloist. Here are the 3 biggest lies that I was led to believe about imposter syndrome. Maybe you can recognize them too. The first: if I feel unqualified to do something, it must be imposter syndrome. If I feel unworthy of something, it must be imposter syndrome. And 3, if I feel not ready to do something, it must be imposter syndrome. But on the flip side, what if this is just quite simply cause and effect? Something comes up in our lives, we have a feeling, which is a chemical reaction. It is a response to a situation. It is fight or flight at its most basic level. It's a feeling, but we like to label it. We like to call it imposter syndrome. Almost like you have gone to the doctor, you have said, I feel like this, and they have said, here is your diagnosis. You are an imposter. But what if your feelings are actually guidance? What if they're not your problem? Because our thoughts are just a belief that we keep thinking. Are they actually real? Where's the proof that they're even real? If we're telling ourselves the same story over and over and over again, we start to believe it to be true. We start to believe, I'm unqualified, I'm unworthy, I'm not ready. But let me tell you, every single time I have done something in my career, in my business, in my life, I have been unqualified, I have been unworthy, I have been not ready. But I have done it anyway. I have done it in spite of those things. And when I have used the label, I am an imposter, it has limited my ability to learn from the situation. It's almost like it became an excuse rather than a new feeling that I was acclimatizing to. Imagine you are walking up some mountain. I did this when I was younger. I did the Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award, which is a 50-mile walk over 4 days. We did this in the Lake District. I did my gold. Before that, I did my silver. And then before that, I did my bronze. Each of the awards was a different distance that we walked, and each was a different gradient. Every single time it got slightly harder. Every single time we were pushed outside of our comfort zone. The weather wasn't on our side. It rained. Our feet hurt. Our kit was new. We hadn't broken it in. We didn't necessarily fully know how to read a map. We got lost. We had arguments. We didn't like the food. We didn't like all sorts of different things, but we did it. And every single step we learned. Every single step we acclimatized to a new experience, to a new feeling. And at the end of it, we achieved our Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award. This was the result of stepping outside of my comfort zone as a teenager. And probably me, like you, have done all sorts of things repeatedly. One of the biggest imposter syndrome situations for me was the first time I ever spoke to an audience. Now, I've not told you this story before, but after my stroke, I was very, very depressed. I had a terrible feeling of survivor guilt, but of gratitude and ingratitude. So I was stuck between, I should be making the most of this second chance that I've got, but I don't feel connected to who I am. At the time, I spoke to a therapist about this and we explored the reasons why. A bit too complex to go in on the episode right now. But the short version of this story was I went to an event, I saw a speaker speak. They stood on the end of the stage and they said, "Why do you try so hard to fit in when you're born to stand out?" And that quote gave me chills. And after they said that quote, I heard a voice in my head saying, I want to do that. I want to be a speaker. I want to stand on stage. I want to empower and inspire people. And I heard another voice saying, who do you think you are? You get nervous when you have to present to your colleagues. Now, this was 10 plus years ago. So at that time, I was just coming out of working in finance and working in the marketing department. And in my role, sometimes I'd be invited to share things with my colleagues and I got nervous. And maybe you're in that similar position. So I'm sat in this audience, having had a near-death experience, feeling depressed, looking for the answers. And the voice says, I want to be a motivational, inspirational, personal development speaker. Now, imagine this situation. Here we are today. I am speaking to audiences around the world, online, in person. The first time I was invited to speak, I think I shared this with you a few episodes back. I was given 60 minutes to talk about my brand new book, Time Management for Entrepreneurs. This was the first version of my book. 60 minutes to talk about time management. They introduced me. Welcome, Abigail Barnes, author of this amazing book. I stood up, I rambled for 15 minutes, and then I sat down. That was it. I left the stage feeling humiliated, embarrassed, ashamed, like I was a total failure. I sat down in my seat and I heard the voice again. I want to do it again. And I'm sharing this story to impress upon you that life is a journey. It is an evolution. We are not going to be amazing the first time we do it. But, and this is the point of today's episode, you are not, I am not, we are not an imposter. This is an unhelpful diagnosis, in my opinion, which limits us and in the labeling of us fails to allow us to grow, to evolve, to become the person that we came here to be. What if rather than looking at yourself as unqualified, you see yourself as learning? I'm just learning. Now, I have been speaking for a number of years. I would never claim to be excellent at it. I am learning, I am evolving. Every time I speak, I learn something new. Every time I watch one of my fellow speakers, I learn something new. I am constantly learning, evolving, changing. I'm constantly reframing the narrative in my head that says, you're not ready. You're not ready to speak to that many people. You're not ready. And I say, I am. I can. I will. And it really starts to become a question of reprogramming. On that point, homework, should you choose to accept it? Same homework as I've been setting for the last few episodes. In episode 33, we talked about, are your thoughts sabotaging your time management? Take the 24-hour challenge. Track your thoughts for that time. The link is in the show notes to do it. If you've not already listened to that episode, you can listen to that episode as well. Is imposter syndrome a trauma response? What is a trauma response? It is how you think, how you feel, and how you respond as a result of something that has happened to you. It is a trigger that is in your unconscious. So, as a result of my stroke in 2012, over the years, things have triggered the similar responses that I had in those moments. Every now and again, something totally unrelated would trigger. And then I might react as one of these 4 trauma responses. So I might freeze, I might go into fight, I might go into flight, I might go into fawn. These are the 4 responses that happen when we are in a trauma situation, the direct result of something that has happened to us in the past. And trauma can be something very traumatic. It can be something less traumatic. They say trauma with a big T, trauma with a little t. It goes without saying, if there's anything I say in this episode that triggers you, please seek the professional help that you need. I have over the years, I continue to do so. It is very, very beneficial. My mind is unable to solution some of the thoughts that can go unchecked, which is why the homework is going to be life-changing. You would be surprised. They say between 95 to 98% of the things we think on a daily basis are automatic. They're habits. They're the same. So if you imagine we get up every single day, we respond in the same way because the thoughts are creating the actions which are creating the reality. Until we change our thoughts, we are still going to keep living our own personal Groundhog Day. We are the ones who can change it. Awareness is the key to change. You will not have awareness if you do not observe yourself. Knowledge is not power. Actions are power. So knowing what to do is not the same as doing it. If you know it and haven't done it, I would ask you whether you actually, truly even know it. Homework number 2. Where is all your time going? If you haven't done a time audit, episode 15 is the one for you. Check that one out. All the links to how to do it, again, are in the show notes. Couldn't make this stuff any simpler for you. But that goes to show that change is simple. It's not easy. It's not easy because we have to take an action. We have to overcome the stories that we're telling ourselves. One of the biggest, maybe, I don't have time. Well, you're never going to have more time if you don't observe where your time is going. And you might want to check out the episode where we had Caroline Milne on as a guest, and she shared that she found an hour and 15 minutes a day from doing a time audit. And she actually thought that she was good at time management. And if you've not listened to that episode yet, that is episode number 31. She goes on to say that auditing her time helped her to find more time and put in place more measures so that she was able to be more efficient and effective with the time that she has and create the life, the business, the results that she actually wants. Who wouldn't want those things? And finally, as we wrap up this episode, it's becoming a tradition now. I can't seem to talk about time management without talking about human design. In episode number 24, our guest introduced us to what human design is and talked about it in a very step one macro level. That was part one. We will have them back for part two. Today, I want to talk to you about what you can learn from your chart. In that episode, she invited you to, and again, link will be in the show notes for that episode. She invited you to get your free human design chart. And if you can't find anything, reach out to us and we will give you the links you need. With this human design chart, you can tell what your strategy and your authority is. That's what I want to talk to you about today. What we can learn from our charts around our intuition and our influence. So our strategy is how we operate in life, and our authority is how we know. I'll run through them very quickly. The strategy for a manifester is to inform and initiate. For a generator is to wait to respond. For a manifesting generator is to wait to respond and to inform and initiate. For a projector, it is to wait for the invitation. And for a reflector, it is to wait a lunar cycle. What that means is that each individual type has a different way of responding to the world. And as a result of how you respond, as a result of living by your strategy, you will be able to tap into your intuition and tap into your influence. And then your authority can either be an emotional authority, which is how you feel about things, a sacral authority, which is your gut intuition, a splenic authority, which is your instinctive intuition, ego authority is what you want, and this is your intuition. So you know, I want this. The G center authority is the sounding board intuition. The mental authority is what just makes sense. And the lunar authority is letting time show you the answer. So when we are living by our authority, we are allowing ourselves to truly tap into our intuition. So I am an emotional authority. So I feel things that I want to do, don't want to do. And I know straight away, is it a yes? Is it a no? If it's not an immediate yes or a no, I sleep on it, I walk on it, I exercise on it, I advise the person that I will get back to you with a decision. And once you understand these two basics in your chart, can be so helpful for you in situations where maybe you are the gut intuition and you know, but you're questioning, do I know? Do I really know? How do I know? And I have found that the human design is just very much a clarification and a confirmation of my own intuition. And as we start to move into the new way that the world is working, intuition is going to become the superpower. And knowing how to use your intuition will help you to influence others as your energy will shift. People are reading energy like you wouldn't believe. Lots of people don't have the ability to articulate what they're feeling yet, but they are feeling things. So think about yourself. Are there places that you don't enjoy going to? Are there people that you don't enjoy spending time with? Are there things you no longer want to do that in the past you did? And it doesn't make them right or wrong. Evolution is life. We are allowed to evolve. We are allowed to change. Our tastes, our wants, our desires are allowed to change. I have so much enjoyed sharing this episode with you. If you loved it, let me know by leaving a review. And wherever you have listened to this, watched this, leave a comment, share it with a friend. They help so much. We are now in 98 countries, and we are almost coming up for our 1 year anniversary of when we started. We've got so many more and exciting episodes to come for the rest of the year. I have been busy interviewing people and lining up the structure, the flow, the conversation, the time-saving skills and modalities that I truly, truly believe are beneficial to all of us. Until next time, my friend, stay safe, stay well, and remember, it's your time. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you loved what you heard, be sure to let me know by leaving a review so I can keep the good stuff coming. Come and say hi on Instagram at Success by Design Training, or visit my website successbydesigntraining.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn. Just search Abigail Barnes. Until next time, don't forget, you are amazing and it's your time.